Hello everyone, my name is Sukhpreet and I'm here with my group members and Mary Shona Libera, Arjun Ajay Kumar Pillai, Mehakpreet Singh, Sarabjit Singh, and Sharon. We are here with the logistics and the transportation assignment today. Our topic for the assignment is rules and regulations of the trucking industry. Starting with the introduction point, transportation plays an important role in supply chain. Supply chain refers to the movement of the goods from one point to another. It starts from the beginning of the supply chain with the materials arriving at the warehouse and ends with the customer's delivery to their doorsteps. Trucking is the most popular and the dominant means of transport, which is governed by a plethora of rules and regulations which come from a variety of sources. In Canada, trucks transport 90% of all goods and commodities, as well as almost two-thirds of the Canada's trade with the United States. Trucks are the most efficient and the effective means of the transport, which are highly preferred by the shippers because of the unparalleled level of service. In these days of the just-in-time and the on-time delivery, only trucks can provide the flexible and the time-sensitive deliveries. Trucks predictably dominate short as well as long-haul transport because it provides the delivery of the lightweight items as well as the items of the high value. Talking in terms of the regulatory monitoring, the trucking business is divided into two sectors: intra-provincial, which means within the province; extra-provincial, which means inter-province as well as cross international borders. So now my friend Shona will explain the next topic. Thank you.
Hi, this is Anne Mary. I'll be continuing with the topic regulations mandated by the Canadian government. The Motor Vehicle Transport Act (MVTA), which empowers provinces to regulate extra provincial motor carrier enterprises on behalf of the federal government, is the most important piece of the federal legislation overseeing the trucking industry regulations. The trucking industry in Canada is governed by the federal government. Each trucking company is required by the federal government to be compliant in their home province. Each province, however, regulates its highways and routes. In the United States, the Department of Transportation (DOT) regulates the trucking business. Running authority is required to operate a trucking firm in the United States. A DOT number, a motor carrier number, and a DOT safety rating are required for this. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration oversees assigning the motor carrier number. They will analyze, inspect, and even investigate after an accident based on their safety rating. Following that, they will be given a satisfaction or an unsatisfactory rating. MVTA is divided into two federal regulations: Motor Carrier Safety Fitness Certificate Regulations and the Commercial Vehicle Drivers' Hours of Service Regulations.
My name is Arjun Ajay Kumar Pillai and I'll be talking about Motor Carrier Safety Fitness Certificate Regulations. Federal regulated motor carriers, trucks or buses need to have a fitness certificate before operating on national highways in Canada or crossing provincial borders or international borders. So there is a national safety code in order to monitor the safety regulations in the trucking industry. The National Safety Code for the NSC was implemented in 1987 in order to promote safety and efficiency in the trucking industry across Canada. There are national safety code safety requirements and administrative standards. In the National Safety Code safety requirements, there is carrier safety rating, facility auditing, cargo securement, driving hours of duty, and trip inspection, which are all covered in the national safety requirements. In the administrative standards, there is a driver licensing, medical requirements, knowledge testing, and examiner training program. Overall, NSE provides support through regulations for drivers and carriers to improve the safety of the trucking industry. Now, Sarabjit Singh will talk about the driver's hours of service regulations.
Hello, my name is Sarabjit Singh and I will talk about commercial vehicle driver hours of service regulation for federal motor carriers and their drivers. This covers the hours of work and rest requirements, daily driving and on-duty time. No motor carrier may request, require or permit a driver to drive, and no driver may drive after 13 hours of driving time has been accumulated in a day. No motor carrier may request, require or enable a driver to drive, and no driver may drive after 14 hours on duty in a day. Mandatory off-duty time. No motor carrier or driver shall seek, compel or enable a driver to drive after accumulating 13 hours of driving time unless the driver spends at least 8 hours of duty time before driving again. The no motor carrier may require, compel or authorize a driver to drive beyond 14 hours on duty time unless the driver takes at least 8 hours of duty time before driving again. No motor carrier may request, require or enable a driver to drive after 16 hours have elapsed between the end of the most recent period of 8 or more consecutive hours of duty time and the start of following period of 8 or more consecutive hours of duty time. Cycles. A motor carrier must compel a driver to follow either cycle 1 or cycle 2. No motor carrier may request, require or enable a driver to drive unless the driver has taken at least 24 hours of off-duty time in preceding 14 days subject to section 53. Subject to Section 53, no motor carrier may request, require, or allow a Cycle 1 driver to drive, and no Cycle 1 driver may drive after accumulating 80 hours of on-duty time in any 7 days. No motor carrier may seek, require, or enable a Cycle 1 driver to drive after occurring 80 hours of on-duty time in any 7 days except as provided in Section 53. ELD records on duty status. A motor carrier must ensure that each commercial vehicle it operates is equipped with electronic logging device that meets the technical standard and that is mounted in a fixed position and visible to the driver when the driver is in the position normal driving position except for commercial vehicles that are used for commercial purposes. A vehicle that is operated by a motor carrier under the auspices of a permit, a motor carrier to whom the Act has granted an exemption, a vehicle that is the topic of a 30-day rental agreement that isn't an extended or renewed rental of the same vehicle made before year 2000. Penalties faced for breaking regulation. Breaches of Canada's Motor Vehicle Transport Act regulations can cost up to $5,000 in individual fees and up to $25,000 in carrier fees. In addition to monetary fines, penalties can also include an out-of-service order, driver and carrier audit by Ministry of Transportation, a revoked license. Transportation of dangerous goods. The Government of Canada regulates the supply of hazardous materials through the Transportation of Dangerous Goods Act 1992. The Transportation of Dangerous Goods program creates safety standards and regulation for hazardous material transportation across all modes of transportation governed by Transport Canada. The Schedule of Transport of Dangerous Goods Act identifies 9 classes of dangerous goods. Classes of dangerous goods are Class 1. Explosives include explosives within the meaning of the Explosive Act. Class 2. Gases compressed, deeply refrigerated, liquefied or dissolved under pressure. Class 3. Flammable and combustible liquids. Class 4. Flammable solids, substances liable to spontaneous combustion. Substances that are in contact with water emit flammable gases. Class 5. Oxidizing substances, that is organic peroxides. Class 6. Poisonous and infectious substances. Class 7. Radioactive materials and radioactive prescribed substances within the meaning of the Atomic Energy Control Act. Class 8. Corrosives, Class 9 miscellaneous products, substances, or organisms considered by governor in council to be dangerous to life, health, property, or the environment when handled, offered for transport, or transported and prescribed to be included in the class. Thank you.
My name is Mahpreet Singh, and here I am going to discuss regarding the documents and report required for a trucking business. First, we need to have an A-class driver's license. This is basically a commercial driver's license, and that can be obtained by completing a course approved by a Department of Motor Vehicle. After achieving that course, we are eligible to go for a drive test, and completing that, we will be going to get an A-class driver's license. But first, one thing we need to keep in mind is a driver must be drug-free and must have a clean record. Another document is commercial liability insurance. In order to get the US DOT approval in United States, we need to have this document, and this document must be kept in the truck as well. Third one is US DOT number and motor carrier number. If we want to operate our business in US as well, we need to have this number, and that number can be obtained by completing an 18-month safety insurance program. After completing the program, we are eligible to get these numbers, and these number must be placed on the rig of the truck. Fourth one is insurance company. This is a very important document as these documents provide a protection against the damages caused under an unforeseen situation, and this can protect us from our financial liabilities as well. There are various types of insurance: third party, cargo insurance, drivers third party insurance. So according to the needs, a company can go for these insurance. Another one is state transport permit. Every state has their own rules and regulations related to the transportation and regarding to the transportation of hazardous goods and the weight a truck can carry in their state. So if we want to work with different state, we need to get the approval from the different state, and those are basically a permit. Another one is logbook. This is basically a driver's report, and that is kept with the drivers as well. Under that, you will be got to know about the number of hours the drivers was on a shift, number of hours the drivers was driving the truck, and number of hours drivers was on a sleep. So from here we got to know about the working of the driver. Another one is cab card. This is a basically a registration which define the weight which a truck can carry in different provinces. On the cab card, there is a list of different provinces and approved weight the truck can carry in these provinces. So the lastly, a circle check report. This is basically an inspection report under which an inspector gonna have a physical check of the truck, and they will gonna see what's the what's the condition of truck is, and what are the damages, how many the scratches are there, and according to that they will gonna prepare a checklist report regarding the position and the quality of the truck. So next part will be gonna discuss by Sharon.
I'm Sharon. Moving to the conclusion, as we all see previously, the trucking industry in Canada is subject to a large number of regulations that originate from, are administered, and enforced by many organizations across the country. Canadian trucking regulations help govern transport across over 1 million kilometers of highway that covers the large nation. In order to ship items quickly and safely from coast to coast, it is important to understand the road transport laws and regulations that are in place and ensure you are abided by those laws. That's all for our presentation today. Thank you on behalf of all our group members.